Some of the apps that I'm going to show you are very expensive, so they can range anywhere from $150 to $400 per license. So on some student devices, if they have an iPad that's dedicated for communication, the only thing that may be on it could be a $400 app. And that's so that they can use it for their voice and their communication. The justification for that, and some people feel that that's a waste of an iPad, but when you think about if we had other academic apps on here like drill and practice for math or reading activities or whatever, you think about the student will have to close out of their voice to work on academics, and they're not able to comment or question or interact with that content in any way because their voice is closed out. So we like to have them on separate devices, and we can have students who are communicating on their board and on a separate device doing their academics. So that's why we don't want them to close out of voice. We don't tell, when students are learning in school, we don't tell them to stop questioning and commenting. We don't do that for regular students. We don't want them to do that for special ed. So here's one called, gosh, which one did I just open? I think it was Proloquo Go. And now the thing is, on any of these communication boards, they work kind of similar. Up at the top is where your choices will kind of string together to say what you want. And then your buttons are down below, and some of these buttons are linked to other boards. So for example, I want to go for a walk, or you could say, let me delete that, I want to read. If I go back, I can choose other vocabularies, other things that they can make a choice about, or I want, if I go into food, it now gives me, I want some goldfish crackers, which in special needs classrooms is huge, is selecting their snack every day. So they have a voice on what they eat, or I want more, please, or I'm all done, I don't want any more, to be able to communicate that. If I go into the keyboard, some students are able to also type out messages if they can't find what they want. I don't need that, go back home. If I go into another one called Touch Chat, this is another one that's very expensive. You can see that this is a basic board that really just has like 15 squares at a time. So if I go back, here's their home page. So if I want to ask a question, I go into questions and I could say how much, or if I want to talk to people, I could say, I want my mom, or you want your teacher. Let's see if teacher's on here. And it's not, but the bus driver is. I don't know what that says about anything. But if I go back to menu, over here, vocab, choose new vocabulary. This is really cool because they have something called word power. So some of our students might have something as high level as this. Okay, so what you saw was very basic, and now we have a board with a lot more words. Now this one happens to have the keyboard built in, but there's other boards that have the keyboard gone and just the words. So I can start off, and and now it's going to verbs. I want to call, or I called, so that you can actually get proper verb tenses in there. And I can go into people and say I called mom. So, and when I tap up here, it's going to read it. Okay, and then they can delete and start again. So this is eventually what we want students to be able to work up to, is to be on a device like this, and they take their device everywhere and they can touch it to communicate, and it will read and have the voice for them. But some students are not able to handle this much at a time, and it really takes a lot of practice, because if you think about working with a toddler or a baby, how much you model that language for students, it takes as much work to model it on here. Every time a teacher interacts with a child, the teacher should be modeling it on here, and then the student, you might want to model a sample response from a student. So it really is a two-phase process of getting them to learn this, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to teach a person how to talk. There's also a very basic one that we sometimes put in place for students who might be somewhat verbal but not really, and this is called My First AAC. It's not as expensive as the others, But like I can go into social and just say, you know, Mark, I'm sorry, or
I like it.
or
Stop, please. It's my turn.
so taking turns is huge when they're little, and you know, going on to some of the others. Sorry, I'm not changing my page. It should. I feel like I just froze it. So my first AAC also comes in with other boards that you could go to, clothes, you know, that I want to wear a shirt, I want my pajamas, and so on. So this is a very basic communication board. We don't put it out that much, but it is out there for some students. Other than this, we also have something similar in a paper display, so it's more tactile for students who need that.